Poker Tonight is brought to you by Bluff Magazine, the world's leading poker publication. Welcome back to Poker Tonight. I'm Scott Huff, and this man next to me is Joe Sebok. Now, Joe, we've been talking a lot of LAPC today. Back in 2007, if I remember correctly, you actually got off to a really fast start in this event, but then your arch nemesis, JC Tran, came out of nowhere as usual, and he eventually finished in second place using your chips to kind of piggyback his way up there.
Well, JC is the guy who ended up with my chips, but I'd have to say that if anyone should be blamed, it has to be me in that situation. I flat out made some mistakes in that particular hand, and the only way to see your mistakes, Huff, is to analyze them. So I'm offering myself up as the first subject in our newest segment, High Mistakes Poker. All right, with blinds at 800, 1600, and a 200 chip ante, I had just been moved to JC Tran's table. He was first in chips in the entire tournament with about 270,000. I was second with 245, so two huge stacks. Action folds around to me. I'm about 3 off the button with the queen-8 of diamonds, and I decide to raise, only I didn't raise. I just throw in an oversized chip, which of course ends up being a limp. So really basic issue right off the top. If you're gonna raise, go ahead and say raise. It eliminates any of this kind of confusion.
Now, another basic issue, why were you raising with a hand like queen-8 of diamonds?
Well, I was in a position, I still was second in chips in the whole tournament. I want to put pressure on people, I want to attack them, and I still have a suited queen in late position. So it's not that I'm playing a bad hand. I could understand if people who don't play as many tournaments wouldn't want to play that, it makes sense, but I feel pretty comfortable playing that hand. That doesn't bother me. So as I was saying, I go ahead and limp mistakenly. The cutoff limps, JC limps on the button, and the big blind checks his option, and we all go to see a flop of king 10-5 with 2 diamonds. The big blind checks, and I go ahead and make a bet right there.
Now, why are you betting in that spot when you're just on a draw? Is that something that you're a proponent of doing?
Right. Well, nobody had control of the hand at that point. Everyone had limped around. Anyone could have anything. I certainly, had I raised in, would have done the same thing. So I want to certainly take the pot right there and just put an end to the hand if I get lucky in that spot. At any rate, I go ahead and make a bet of about 4,000 into that pot. Everyone folds except for JC, who calls on the button. So obviously I'm looking for a diamond. Luckily for me, we see the turn, which comes down with that beautiful 3 of diamonds. And I decide to check there to try to trap JC. Go ahead and check. He bets 10,000, and then I check raise him to 35,000. Now, some people here could say that is a small check raise. Some people could say that it's a big check raise. It really kind of depends. At that point, I felt like I had the best hand. I kind of wanted to keep him there. Sometimes you want to bet more to price the other opponent out of actually being able to call in that spot. I didn't. He elected to call, and then we both saw the river, which came down with the 10 of clubs. I go ahead and bet 50,000, which is a pretty decent bet at that spot, into a pot of about 87,000. Now, a couple things with this bet. It's so much that if JC decides to do anything, I should be able to know that he has to have the best hand in that spot. Unfortunately for me, I go ahead and make that bet. JC moves in, and then I make the absolute cardinal sin in this situation. I set the hand up perfectly to be able to get away, but I was frustrated. Who knows what it was? The pot had gotten so big, maybe my inexperience. I decide to call, and JC ends up showing me king 10 for a river full house, and I'm busted out of the tournament in a spot where I never should have been.
Well, you're man enough to admit it on the show, and we certainly appreciate your insights here on that hand. A tough one, for sure. Well, we've got someone ready, willing, and able to capitalize on anyone's mistakes right over there. It's time for Dana Workman and the Weekly Misdeal, brought to you by Bluff Magazine, the world's leading poker publication.
Thanks, guys. By the way, last week you underreported the turnout for the LAPC reentry event by 1,000. There were actually 5,847 total entries, so maybe you can cover that next time you do high mistakes poker. Welcome to the Weekly Misdeal, your one-stop shop for all poker's meanest headlines, from soup to the nuts. Charlie Davies, the striker for the U.S. men's national soccer team, was recently spotted playing 5-10 no limit at the Bellagio while recuperating from a recent car accident. Davies says he's healing well, but still can't manage to stop losing to Europeans with better kickers. Also spotted playing poker last week at Borgata was 14-time Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps. Phelps' game is reportedly pretty decent, but for some reason he is always splashing the pot. Weird. A company called Playerati has invented a poker table that serves drinks out of a retractable center column. Pretty cool idea, right? Stay at the table longer. Anyone want to know the details of their companion product, the Royal Flush? Yeah, didn't think so. And finally, the 2009 Bluff Magazine Awards have officially been announced, and Doyle Brunson was named Twitterer of the Year, beating out Poker2Nite's own Joe Sebok. Doyle is famous for his blonde jokes and brief words of Southern wisdom known as Doyleisms. For example, there is never a wrong time to do the right thing. Well, Doyle, I've got one I'd like to submit. Violence is never the answer unless it's really, really deserved. I'm Dana Workman, and this has been your weekly Miss Deal, pulling this show out of the muck since 2009.
Thanks, Dana. Still more to come on Poker Tonight. Back right after this. Poker Tonight has been brought to you by UB.net. Raise, stack, own. Welcome back to Poker Tonight. Scott Huff and Joe Sebok. Now, Poker Tonight will be on hiatus during the LA Poker Classic main event, but somehow Joe has gotten himself into a little bit of trouble with another high-profile prop bet with Gavin Smith. Now, Gavin, of course, already has Joe's initials tattooed on his back, and they have roped in another young, unsuspecting poker pro in Jeff Madsen into this one. Now, what is the bet?
Sadly, I am in this bet to get these tattoos with these knuckleheads. Basically, it's a last longer bet at the LAPC with the three of us. So whoever busts first is going to have to get the other two gentlemen's faces tattooed somewhere on their
Another tattoo bet.
It's not a good situation. It's not a good situation. Whoever busts second is only going to have to get the one remaining player's face tattooed somewhere in his body. I don't really know how it happened. You know those moments in life where everything slows down and suddenly something's happened and you're on the other side of a fence?
Getting a tattoo bet? No, I don't.
Now I'm on the side of a tattoo fence. It's a really bad situation. I've gone on public record trying to call this bet off. I think it's a really big mistake. I don't know what to say. There's a little bit of a IQ differential, I think, between the three of us, and they won't listen to reason.
So you're the lord of the idiots right now. You're the smartest of the dum-dums.
It feels like it.
Good luck to you. And get them somewhere where we can't see them on camera. We want season 2. That's all the time we have for Poker Tonight. Join us again next week for Poker Tonight Best of Season 1. But in the meantime, be sure to check us out on UB.net for more information on the Poker Tonight Pro Challenge. Thanks again to our guest, Jason Alexander. Thank you for Dana Workman and Joe Sebok. This is Scott Huff saying, keep our seats open.